what if there's more than one Alaric? Is it still just Phoenix? Is it Phoenixes? Phoenixi? Phoenices?
You waste both my time and your breath, and the former has value.
The Phoenix is the Protoss air-to-air superiority fighter, specializing in an anti-light role. They can be warped in from the Stargate at a production cost of 150, 100, and a build time of 25 seconds. Their stats: 120 life, 60 shields, 0 base armor, and an incredible 5.95 movement speed. Their attack is comprised of 2 ion cannons that each deal 5 damage to the target or 10 damage versus light targets. Did I mention that they can attack while moving? Yeah, really. It's so much fun, you won't even realize how much money you have wasted by forgetting to do anything other than micro Phoenixes all game. You may notice that the Phoenix has an energy bar. Every Phoenix comes standard equipped with the Graviton Beam ability. For the cost of 50 energy, you can have the Phoenix lift a targeted ground unit into the air, making it susceptible to anti-air attacks for 7 seconds. The Phoenix that is performing the lift ability cannot attack, but any of his nearby friends can. One final note to highlight on this: the ability cannot be used on units that are tagged as massive. That means that things like Thors, Ultralisks, and your mother are completely safe. Before I talk about usage, I also want to highlight an upgrade available at the Fleet Beacon. Anion Pulse Crystals costs 150, 150, and increases the attack range of the Phoenix by 2, going from 5 to 7. Very helpful.
Research complete.
I stalk through the stars. I will comply.
In practice, Phoenix are generally used for 1 or 2 purposes: harassment and scouting, or army support. Scouting should be self-explanatory. They fly very quickly, and they can sneak a peek at any locations that are not cluttered with things like missile turrets or marines. Want to get called to HR for harassment? Have a decent group of Phoenix, roughly 4 to 6, and fly them into mineral lines or common reinforcement paths. You can use their lift ability on a few targets and get out with minimal losses, ideally. Having a few Phoenix for army support can be helpful, but is also control intensive. They're essentially spellcasters that slingshot themselves towards the enemy. Unless there is a key air unit to snipe off, such as a warp prism, the most helpful thing that support Phoenixes can do is use the Graviton Beam ability on key ground targets. Think about what is valuable for your opponent's composition. Things like siege tanks, immortals, or ravagers. With these key units lifted into the air, those units are then unable to help their allies and can be destroyed much easier. The Phoenix is fantastic in a hit-and-run style role, similar to the Zerg's Mutalisks. They can easily soar into undefended mineral lines, or be used to disable key ground units in a fight. Like everything in Starcraft though, they are not without some weaknesses. They lack durability in direct fights, and depend on energy to deal with enemy ground units. Massive units are immune to the lift, so if it's massive and can shoot up, it's probably helpful. One other major weakness is the lack of attack versus buildings. It is rare for me to recommend static defense for, well, any purpose, but it can help versus Phoenix. Have a turret, spore, cannon or 2 to protect your workers and deter the Phoenix. My Terran tryhards, I'm going to semi-categorize these options into good and so-so. Good options are simple. Marines, when in high numbers, with their tried and true tools of stim and shields, will decimate Phoenix in a direct engagement. Thors can be a great answer too, since they're immune to the graviton beam ability. You may think that you want to keep them in their anti-light javelin missile launcher mode, but that only beats out the high-impact payload's cannons when the Phoenix are tightly clumped, since the missiles do splash damage. For those that like numbers, the missiles do 48 damage versus light every 2.14 seconds, and the cannons will do roughly 58 in the same time frame, but only to one target. Short summary, unless the Phoenix are clumped together, I would go with the cannons. Now for the so-so options, or perhaps I should call them honorable mentions. Vikings, being armored, do not take the bonus damage from the Phoenix, but they also don't deal extra damage, so their only real claim to fame is that the Vikings have an epic attack range to deter Phoenix from engaging. Ghosts can be a ton of fun, thanks to the EMP shockwave ability, removing the Phoenix's energy, thus preventing them from using their graviton beam. The problem is that you have to land that EMP shot on one of the fastest units in the game. Lastly, the battlecruiser is so armored and bulky that it should win every direct engagement against a reasonable number of Phoenix, if the Phoenix actually fight. BCs are great, but they're slow, so good luck chasing them down. Protoss professionals, your options are a bit more limited. Blinkstalkers, despite having no bonus versus light targets, are going to be your best choice in the early to mid game. The core strength that they have is in production. You can field a gateway army much more quickly and overwhelm the Phoenix. Once you get a few bases up and running though, Archons can be a great addition thanks to their splash damage attack and massive status. Carriers get an honorable mention, but are in a very similar situation as the battlecruiser. You should win the fight if they actually let you catch them. Fellow Zerg zookeepers, these options are going to sound limited. They kind of are. Zerg simply has less anti-air. The go-to answer that I recommend is Corruptors. Their fast speed and armored status makes them perfect candidates to extinguish the flames of those pesky Phoenix. Not going for a Spire? Well, I hope you like Queens. A lot of Queens. I know what you're thinking now. Yes, Hydralisks do shoot up. No, they still aren't good at it. Yes, I wish they were better. Yes, you should just make Corruptors and Queens. Just have your overlords hug the nearest spore crawler and move on. One of the more underused units in my opinion, the Phoenix can add excellent utility to many compositions and strategies with a bit of practice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you have a great day.